All right, and now we're live. It says there's 3 people here, but I don't know if there's actually 3 people here.
No way, that's too many. That's taking up too much bandwidth.
I know. Evan Hunt was in here. Are you able to see the comments on your screen or no?
Oh, I can see now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll just roll with this like we're doing the podcast, and then if we get some questions, and we'll answer them.
Cool. Can I ask you questions at some point?
Yeah. I think the way this will work best is we just talk for an hour, and then or not an hour, however it plays out, and we'll see.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, cool. So just for anybody that listens to this in the future, this is the first attempt at a podcast because 5s of people have asked for this, and we'll see how this goes. But for the first episode here, we've got Will from CAATailsAntennas. He was willing to be the first victim to see if the technology works and if I can figure it out. And I think I'll still keep doing videos of gear and stuff, but I think this will be a nice avenue to maybe get some dudes some screen time that maybe are things that I don't necessarily need to buy right now, or that I really like but that don't showcase super well. So like your stuff is a prime example, right? Like your antennas are badass, but there's only so much I can do in video form to say, hey, look at this antenna. Like,
yeah,
can't prove that it works on a video. Well, I guess I could, but I'm too lazy to. So,
dude, get Eric on station. What are you doing? Come on.
Yeah. So I've used them and they work. Trust me, and buy his antennas. All right. So for the next 55 minutes now or so, we will just run through chatting with Will, and you guys can get to know both of us, and then this will slowly get more professional, maybe, as we go, or not, or it'll quickly degrade, and it's fine either way. All right. So in the comments, we got Nameless saying hello. So hello, Nameless.
Hello, Nameless.
But I think a good way to get this started is, do you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit about your background, whatever you're comfortable with?
Yeah, sure. So I joined the Marine Corps in 2013 and did 5 years. And I was a weirdo. I had a recon contract. I went to SOI as a rifleman. Got hurt for the reconnaissance thing, and then got reclassed as a radio operator. So I went to the fleet as a radio operator, and I still had my 0311 rifleman MOS in my B slot. And then I went on a MEU, and then I went on and then I kind of stuck out the rest of my time with the CAAT platoon. Eventually became a vehicle commander, and then eventually became a section leader for a little bit. Went back to vehicle commander. So I was a really oddball, like I don't know if I just got unplugged here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. We'll see if it'll come back on a second.
Okay.
So it was really like an odd position for me because I was like kind of the platoon RO and then a vehicle commander in like this really weird spot. But on one of my deployments, we had that issue going in and out of dismounting and mounting the antenna thing. So I just heard a rumor of a wearable antenna, and I just spent all my free time just trying to craft like what this idea was, and eventually made it. And I didn't like working at normal jobs, so I started the business.
Very cool. And you've been doing that basically since you got out, right?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. When I first got out, I was definitely like pretty lost. And I think a lot of guys talk about it like your first year you get out of the military is just like kind of leaving Alcoholics Anonymous. Like you should never get in a relationship. You should really like find yourself because you were so like attached to these people and like this whole organization. So I was pretty dumb, and I got into a relationship with like a really not healthy person, and that like kind of, because I wasn't looking for myself. Like I was just looking for that fix of like being with friends and what we experience every day in the military.
Right.
eventually I got away from it and I started working for Constellus, doing like the role playing thing. Constellus is like a big contracting company. And then just kind of got fed up with that. Worked at a gun shop for a while, and then did pistol courses, and then did the antenna thing. So
very cool. Is Constella's like an OP4 rental company kind of?
No, Constellus is like so it's connected to Academy. I don't know why my thing keeps going off. So it's just a contracting company. They used to be Blackwater used to be a part of them, but Academy right now. So like Constellus trains Academy, and then Academy is guys leaving and doing private security and all that stuff.
Okay. Super cool. And if you guys are listening and not familiar with Will's antennas or the concept of a wearable antenna, hopefully you've had some experience with like antenna relocation kits. And basically, a wearable antenna it terminates at the end of that relocation kit. So you have a flexible cable coming off of your radio, and you can tuck that thing wherever you want. Typically, run over the shoulder strap and then weaved in some molly on the back. But it makes it so that you have no rigid antenna anywhere on you, and it's super convenient for pairing up with rifle slings or rucks or anything. If you're getting in and out of vehicles, it reduces that snag hazard a lot. So it's a super cool concept. What kind of feedback have you gotten on these things? I know it's overwhelmingly positive, but if anybody's never dealt with one, what are some of the drawbacks on them?
I love when I get negative stuff, because I think right now I've sold about 6,000, and I think I've got maybe like 4 or 5 negative ones. In the very beginning, there was breakages because I was still trying to figure that out and doing all these testing, and now I got it pretty down pat. But sometimes there's just this, for some guys, it's just not working at all. And I started to realize it's just like in the military, when a radio's not working, like it's usually user error, or like, they're not doing the troubleshooting steps. They're not like checking this and this and this. They're just immediately assuming it's the antenna. And at that point, I try my best to talk them through it. Maybe I'll send a replacement. If that's still not working, I'll be like, hey man, like, here's your money back. Like, and that's only happened a handful of times, because it's just you know how it is dealing with radios and incompetent people on the other end.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong about being ignorant. It's not like an insult to be ignorant about something. It's just some people just, I don't know.
Right. Absolutely. And they do have some drawbacks depending on how you use them. And I think you have it on your website, some of the concerns, and you're pretty upfront about it.
Yeah.
And so that user error part absolutely is a thing. If you weave it in the back of your vest and then you throw a hydration bladder directly on top of that, you're gonna have some attenuation problems.
Absolutely. I'm always telling guys, like, how do you think a submarine wants to talk VHF or UHF? In the old days, they would shoot a buoy up and talk. Now they have super low frequency that will hit a satellite at a military base that'll bounce up, and but that water is so powerful. I mean, in nuclear reactors, we use it to protect ourselves from those rays, and it's really powerful.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And another example of water being an issue is if you look at sub to surface comms, those guys are running single megahertz signals.
Yes. Low. Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with radio frequencies or anything, and you're just kind of coming into this blind, a 152, for example, runs about 30 to 512 megahertz, with a lot of your more commercial radios being in the higher end of that spectrum. So you're looking at high 400s to low 500s in frequency range. And then you look at how the military compensates for water when they know that water is going to be an issue, and you're way, way, way down on the single digit end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So knowing the drawbacks, I think not that you have a lot of negative feedback is part of that. Like, hey, if I put water right on top of this thing, it's not going to work very well.
Exactly, and any antenna has dips and peaks, and those peaks, is what you don't want. And I keep it pretty open on the website where those dips and peaks are. You can in the SWR, Viswire info.
Yep.
So people know, like, hey, if you have this peak in this range that you use, and I try to design the antenna to have those peaks and ranges where people just don't really use those frequencies, then like, hey, this just isn't for me. And there's other companies who make similar wearable stuff that try to almost hide that, and it's like, come on, like that's something that you have to be open about.
Yeah, and it's not a magic bullet, right? If anybody goes into it thinking it's a magic bullet, it's not. It's not a one size fits all option. It's not, it's not giving you SATCOM or something like that.
Yeah.
I see a couple of comments coming in, and they kind of play to some of those strengths and weaknesses. So some of the concerns about like height of the antenna, that is a valid concern.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Being totally upfront, running a cattails antenna as my primary antenna, I have found times where I do need extra height, and then that's when you throw that blade antenna from your ruck on top of the radio real quick, so you can get up over some of those hills or get some better line of sight. And then when that's done or the range cuts back down, you throw the cattail back on there.
Absolutely.
It's back out of the way. Do you know? I'm guilty. I did not check. Do you know how it performs in like the Singar range? Because I think that's where I had troubles, but I'm not sure.
That's actually where I was originally designing and testing it. So, like, just to give you some background, like the last time I was deployed in 17, we were doing security for a battery outside of Raqqa, and there's times where we were just, instead of doing patrols, we were just doing guard shifts over and over and over. So when I wasn't behind my gun or doing roving duties as an NCO, I was working on this antenna, and the only way I had to test it at the time, I didn't have equipment or anything. I was doing Singar's tests with our trucks internally, and that's what it was originally designed on. And it served me well. I mean, I still have my prototype sitting over here somewhere, but I used it the whole deployment. Our CO came, we would get resupply ammunition and food, water every week or so, and our CO would sometimes come and he'd be like, I heard you made this antenna, and I would make him one, and I'd make it more and more and more. And then it became like all weapons company was using them, and it was all on Singars pretty much. But a lot of JTACs and TACPs are using them right now. Because it just goes and goes with UHF.
Very cool. Another question that came in is favorite way of mounting it. Do you have a way that you recommend people wear it or mount it? I know what I've had decent luck with, but I don't know if you have a recommended way.
Yeah, how I personally did it, it was like the side of the cummerbund, and then I make literally a U shape on my back, obviously over hydration source. And then if you're someone who likes over the shoulder, just over the shoulder and then a U shape, just super simple. I've seen some guys try like make designs and shit, and I'm like, hey, like give it a try. And if you have it's $50 for a spectrometer. You can just plug it in, type in your frequency you use, and see if that works. You just got to be ready to change it if it's not that simple U pattern. Just keep it stretched out, as
That's what I was curious if you were going to say was keeping it away from kind of itself. So I know when I do it, I run it straight over the shoulder, all the way down that side, and then whatever's left, I bring across the bottom and start going back up on the opposite side of the plate.
That's perfect. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, if you, they're like 45 inches long or something like that, right?
38. I was just
38
actually today. Yeah.
Yeah, so 38 sounds pretty long and like you're going to have a lot of weaving to do, but by the time you run it over a shoulder or around your side from your radio, there's really not that much left that you need to be worried about weaving it back and forth on top of itself.
Exactly. Yep. There is. Yeah.
I will say one thing that I don't think I've done is use two at a time, but I would imagine if you have two of them, you do not want them on top of each other.
Exactly. That's the one caveat. I was just talking to a JTAC who hit me up, and he was like, dude, I just fucking dropped bombs on some guys here in Afghanistan using your antenna. I was like, sweet, and but he had the tooth thing, and he had them like up his shoulder and then like back down and through the cummerbund area. So it was almost like if you imagine like two L's, I guess.
Yep.
They didn't cross paths or anything.
Okay. Very cool. Another comment. Let's see here. Do you think you could tie this into a field expedient antenna where you pull it up into a tree to get that height?
Yeah, there's some dude I made a custom antenna for. I made it like 8 feet long, and he was using it. He was like throwing it on like street lights and shit, and like making crazy things. There's another guy who their normal 152 antenna broke, so he took his cattail off and then like wrapped it around a long stick and taped it and just made it like a normal antenna. I don't know. So there's all these things you can do, but I will say nothing does beat a little feet kit, you know.
Okay.
And you can, and I keep telling guys, you can go on eBay and buy pre-crimped BNC wire. BNC is the tip. Oh, here we go. So, like this is BNC. You know, it's the most common. You can get a 30 or like a 15-foot roll of BNC, and then get the Cobra head. Do you know what Cobra head is?
I think I've seen them. I'm not super familiar.
It's like two prongs. One's positive. It's like it has a black and white nubs.
Okay.
And that's just essentially a part of making that field expedient kit. Well, I'll post it later, but it's really, and then you just need speaker wire, and then you can make whatever you want, But they're not durable. You gotta be ready to put them up and kind of keep them safe.
Right. Another question: what sort of radios are you both using with these antennas? So I know for a fact that they work well with 152s. I've done that professionally, as well as commercial or higher end Motorola radios. So comparable to the 153, right? I mean, we bought off the shelf Motorola's, but we didn't have that cool Marine Corps hookup. And then if you want to pay, twice as much as the radio, they work just as good on Bofang radios too. And the Bofangs even give you a little bit more flexibility, kind of like the 152 does, where if you want to hit those peaks of the signal, you can really dial it in, and you're not at the mercy of hard programmed frequencies.
Absolutely. And as you remember, like you're told what frequencies to use in training or outside of training, because there's so many entities training on your training facility. Like you can't just be fucking around at any frequency,
Yeah.
So, and some people don't have ham license, so they're restricted to frequencies, kind of like we are with was it GMRS frequencies or whatever.
Yep.
But you're absolutely right. Like if you have a ham license, you can start messing around and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I know our training frequencies were super limited. So if I was using the 152, it was all done in Singars. And then if I threw it on the Motorola, that was just kind of a mystery, because the way our Motorola's were programmed was just, channel 1 is to talk to this person, channel 2 is to talk to this person, and maybe that was 700 megahertz, maybe it was closer to GMS. I don't know. Like that wasn't a thing that we got, was the actual frequencies.
I know, yeah, that's funny how that was like the same with us until I found out the coveted programming cable, and I like new computer, and I was like, whoa, we could. And I realized everyone else was on that board of not knowing what was what, so I could get away with like, hey, we can have our own secret channels because I had this cable. My guy was like, do not let anyone else have that,
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery with, I think, professionally using radios, unless you're the guy that sets up the radios, or the gal that sets up the radios.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much to learn. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then you mentioned doing Viswar tests, and if the people listening in, or the people listening in the future aren't familiar, that's a pretty legit tool to have when you're doing something like this. I know I've heard you encourage people to try making their own wearable antenna, because it is something you can do and it'll work. It's super basic, tying in wires and connectors and everything. But the one piece that you do miss out on is, hey, what is this really tuned for, and where can I get the best performance out of it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And just to kind of show, these are two basic ones. This is a to test Viswire. this little unit connects to the radio, and then you connect your antenna to it. And when you TX or RX, it'll display the number here. And this is a good like field unit because it's pretty durable. But the real deal here is these are called it's called Nano NBA. And it's like I think like Raspberry Pi type computer thing.
Okay,
And
cool.
so you can put in any frequency you want into this, and it like simulates it for your antenna that you attach to it, and it'll literally give you a graph on what it's giving out. And you can do 30 to 512, and then you'll see everything going on. And this thing's like $50. It's not very field ready, but if you keep it in a case or maybe a Pelican case or something, you could bring this out to the field and do your test, or chill in your barracks room the weekend before your field op, pre-make your field expedient antennas, testing this because you're not going to have your military radio in your barracks room. So if I had this when I was in, this would have been a lifesaver.
Super cool. You mentioned earlier on, and I know you mentioned it when you did a Instagram live not too long ago about custom antennas, right? So you've got your published ranges and peaks and troughs and everything.
Yeah.
And kind of the standard cattail. And then you mentioned making the dude an 8-footer. Is that something that is fairly common that you offer? Can people just hit you up and say, hey, this is my needs, and you hook them up, or how's that work?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people do that, and I usually tell them, hey man, you're E3 and E4. I knew what that was like. Like, dude, let me give you this stuff to make your own, because I think that would just suit you better. I would rather like you do that than I take your money to do this. But there was a case where I had a big canine unit that needed Motorola wearables, and they were in like the 800 megahertz range, which just wouldn't work with the antennas I make. So I started making their department these, and then I got more and more calls because it's a very tight knit community. So now I actually offer that on the website. So eventually, like as people keep asking for stuff, I start to like solidify it in my making process and publish it. Like just today, I published. I just had so many people ask for a relocation cable, so I'm starting to make those now. I never did because there's so many people making them. There's like Chinese companies making them because everyone loves them. But every time I've used one of these in the military or outside the military, it broke after like one exercise.
Yeah.
So this thing, like I've done pull-ups on the connectors. So like it's. I want people to try to break these. So
super cool. Yeah, and that's a good point too. I have buried all of your old antennas somewhere, but yeah, the strength is no joke on these things, and they have absolutely evolved since when you first started. I know I've bought a couple different generations of yours, and I think I've bought wearable antennas from at least 2 other people. And I can say with confidence that yours are by far the strongest. I've had the connection to the quick detach just come apart on some of the other ones. And that's also, that kind of plays into how to wear these things as well. The more you weave it, the tighter it is, and the more fixed it is. And it really helps to give yourself just a little bit of strain relief on these things. Not that yours need it, but why add that added chance of failure there? Like, don't pull this thing super tight over to the back plate.
Exactly. And you know how it is when your radio never is, I can just turn on and leave it and it's good to go. Like you might need to wiggle the battery, make sure you're on the right channel. So it's nice to have that slack to, have some play. Yeah.
Yep. And that's exactly where I saw one of the other ones break, is I had loaned it to a buddy to use for a flyaway training mission we did. And he needed to change the battery and tried pulling the radio straight out of the pouch. And it was too much on that connection.
Yep.
So I think it's super cool that you're going to be doing the relocation kits too. I saw that and I was extra excited to do this because like to have a human being behind the product, because like I feel like every time you get into comms related stuff, like something is just not quite there in the way the factory envisioned that product working. Like
yes.
Relocation cables are either, a foot too short or 2 feet too long,
yeah.
or they've got a 90 degree where you don't want a 90 degree, and then a straight up where it doesn't work. And push to talks are the same way. Push to talks are probably even worse in that respect.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just
Like
everybody's got their flavor, right?
I know, man. And like guys like us, we figured this shit out by like living it. Like I have a few new products I'm working on that aren't comm related. And I used the prototypes years in the military because it was like the only thing that existed. And that's how everything gets made. Like I'm sure like the placards you see are some dude was like, man, I hate having to switch kits because he was switching from breacher to whatever. Like it's
yeah, for sure. And I think that's the coolest part about this whole process has been for me is finding the dudes that can respond at the speed of people's needs, right? Like,
oh yeah.
I can't go to Eagle and be like, hey, you guys make this thing, and it's like a really cool 90% solution, but if it had this on it, that would be awesome. And like, well, you're the only one that wants that, so you're not going to get it.
Yeah, you get
Where,
kind of like, yeah, cool, man. Like we'll think about it.
yeah. And that's not to call out Eagle, right? Like Eagle's got way better things to do than
Fuck
deal with
Eagle.
me.
No.
But like to have an actual human being behind the company that you can be like, hey, this, what you make is awesome, but it would be even more awesome if I could do this with it. And apparently that includes pull-ups off of the connectors on the relocation cables, so, which is sweet. You can use it for emergency belaying. So.
And what's funny is like that's what I've always noticed about your content and your videos is like you seek out like those smaller niche companies that are making that gear that may seem similar to what's on the market, but is really not. Like what I'm saying? Like, and that's what puts you way far away from like all the the normal gear review channels. I think people are definitely starting to see that more. That really niche stuff. If you're a guy looking for a specialty item, like that's really what you're putting out.
Yeah, and I like that. That's kind of the niche I've fallen into. It feels awesome to like help support dudes like you. Some of the smaller gear makers, like Bricks and Mortar and Paul at Longship. Like
Mm-hmm.
the idea that you can ask somebody to make the thing that you want, and then maybe there's a little back and forth to see, hey, is that really something that you want, or is this just kind of a pipe dream?
Yeah.
And then give you that small reality check. But at the end of the day, if you want it, I'll make it. Like I think that's really cool. It does sometimes make it a little harder putting out content because, prime example is I had Bricks and Mortar make me a pouch for dispensing flagging ribbon. Like that's about the most niche need possible, right? Like who really cares? But hopefully at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I can go to Bricks and Mortar if I need this thing made.
Yeah.
And we'll make it happen.
And there's dudes who who need a product like that, and they're typing on Google and they can't find any reviews, they can't find it, and then they come across yours and they're like, thank God. Like we've all had those moments where we're like, I wonder if someone's thinking what I'm thinking. You Google it,
Yeah, for sure. I would rather deal with those people too. Like the cry videos, they get the views, but then you read the comments on the videos, and I think my plate carrier videos, like every single plate carrier video I put out, they're like, hey, will it fit this model number of plate? Like, I don't have that model number of plate, man, but
yeah. They give you like an NSN, like
yeah. Like, stop buying oddball plates. Like get some recognizable plates and stuff, and
yeah.
it'll fit.
From now on, you should just have an open door policy. Like, yeah, just come over. Like,
yeah, right. Bring your plates to Texas, and we'll try them out. It's fine.
Oh my God. Are you drinking that Fiji?
No. This is a repurposed eggnog bottle. My wife got me some locally made eggnog, but I love the bottle. So I don't make enough money to buy Fiji. So,
bro, you on that OPay?
I took a pay cut, man. It wasn't much. Yeah, it wasn't much, but I took a little bit of a pay cut. Hopefully, it balances out soon. So JS asked a question here, which I think is super good segue here.
What you Jay?
what are some technical manuals and recommended research materials that you use to make these? I know that you have this on your website, so you want to talk to that a little bit?
I do. So Jay, good. So we don't want to fucking look at my posts all the time explaining. No, yeah, they're on the website, and it's in the top. There's like homepage, products, and then uh I don't know what I call it. Like it's the last one. It's just like information or something. But it's just like a PDF from when I was in the military. You know, like you're always handed down like PDFs and shit. And it's just a huge compilation of some of my courses, and then a lot of military pubs. And a lot of these you can already get online if you type them individually. But this is all there in one. So you just a lot of people have issues downloading it too. You can't do it on your phone. You got to download on a computer and unzip it, and then you can put it on your phone. So. I get people like pissed. They're like, I can't open it. I'm like, dude, are you using your phone? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, like on your computer.
Yeah. It's weird how many things we just don't work because we forget that computers exist.
I know.
Like
Great.
that meme where the person finishes browsing on their phone and then they open their laptop and like, all right, I'm done with the little internet. Let's check out the big internet.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That's a good thing to say. Little internet, big internet.
I forget like how many more capabilities a computer actually has that makes like just finding things easier.
I know.
It's so difficult to open a laptop these days.
It is. But like when you're watching, you know, when there's Pornhub with your friends, it makes a much bigger viewing section.
Yeah,
Always.
absolutely. Jacqueline says she's buying 2,000 antennas right now, which is super cool. I just saw her on Instagram.
Yeah,
She
that's
started following.
my badass girlfriend. She's in the Detroit Police Academy right now. Just
Oh, okay, cool.
crushing it, dude. Like I take her out shooting, and you know, I used to teach an intermediate pistol course. I've taught around 500 new shooters pistol shooting. I've never seen someone like doing failure to stop drills, like you know, groupings like that. Like someone who's never shot a pistol. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why can't I have that? You know?
That's funny. How did you enjoy your time instructing?
I'm sorry. What was the last part?
How did you enjoy that time that you were instructing?
Oh, it was good, man. I really, really like teaching new people. And when I was teaching, it was at a gun shop on in Detroit. So I would get a lot of females would come in, and a lot of them like their stories were insane, man. Like one lady was saying like a dude broke in and like raped her daughter, and like she was like finally getting a gun. And I told her I was like, and with people like that, I'd be like, hey, I'm not going to be nice to you. Like I'm going to make sure you are as proficient as possible, and that means me being what you're going to perceive as being mean. And it was awesome seeing these women who never touched a gun put in groups like that, and like it just felt so good that these people could, you know, protect themselves.
That's really cool. I think that says a lot about a person is like how much they enjoy teaching. Like I just feel like there's so many ways to like contribute to what's going on in the world, but teaching, whether it be tangible skills like shooting or academic type stuff or any of those things, like there's just uh, a real human aspect to that like I personally enjoy teaching people a lot as well, and like it's just a cool thing to do and to be able to share things that people may or may not know or you have a different viewpoint on that isn't a black and white wrong answer, right? Like more tools in the toolbox is always a good thing.
Exactly, man. I mean, think about how many people you teach, and that's the thing. You're a selfless teacher because it feels good to teach someone one on one, but you teach all these people, and you don't even really get to see it fully, you know? Because there's someone like me behind the screen, like, oh, there's a pouch that drops little flags I can use for room clearing or whatever you do, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. It's super cool.
Yeah. I think that's really the reason why I've stuck around doing this so far, because like the very first video that I made, or the very first video that I intended to make, was a London Bridge backpack overview, just
Mhm.
because like their website's so bad. It's gotten a little better, but like you get different pictures depending on which color option you pick, and
Mm,
like so you'll have multicam as like the main screen, and it's like the outside of the bag and the back of the bag, and then you go to like wolf gray or something and it shows like every nut and bolt inside of it, and like, oh, there's a Velcro panel, and there's
Oh
you
yeah.
fit all these pouches. But like, if you didn't have any interest in wolf gray, you'd never see it.
Oh,
So
yeah. Okay.
so I did that, and then like I was like, I don't really. I did a bunch of overview stuff, but like that's not really the part that I enjoy the most. Like I like the conversation that follows, and like I don't care if nobody, if this never actually nets any money, because it's definitely not done that yet. But as long as people are getting something out of it, or finding dudes like you who make awesome products that they can use, that's really the win for me.
Well, dude, I mean, you see, I don't know if we're allowed to say the name of the Facebook group that we're on, but you see, but you see when you post stuff on there that, I mean, it's like everyone's like, oh shit, like EOD fish, like, like everyone, I've never heard anything negative. Like it's always like excitement when new products come out. Because not only that you're making a video on a new product, but you're sharing it. Like it's like I don't have to do the work to find out what's a new cool new thing. You're
Yeah.
like information man. You're CNN pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, we got a sweet comment here that's not gonna check out for many people, but the LBT website was designed by the same people who made ADOPS, which was the EOD publication system for all of our reference
Oh,
materials.
oh,
That's given LBT a little bit too much credit. Like it's a functional system, but it can get pretty tricky to navigate.
well, I get what they're saying. Yeah, like because we're talking shit on. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was just actually going to ask you, have you had to utilize your EOD skills like in your new field?
So it's actually we've started getting a little bit into different weapon systems in training, and it's interesting for me, the difference in how we look at them. So when I was in EOD, everything was how the round itself is supposed to work, right? So like whatever the firing mechanism is happens, and then X, Y, and Z takes place in the item, gets to where it's going, and then this is what sets it off. And that's like the first half of the materials, and then when you get to the second half of the materials, it's like, all right, in a perfect world, if it didn't work, here's how you take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd read some of these weapon systems and you're like, this is the most asinine design possible. Like, why on earth would I want to put 300 pounds of white phosphorus on top of something? Like, at that point, why am I not just blowing it up? And now, like, nobody actually cares about the downrange side of it. They all care about the employment and what it, like, why we're using it, which was always the part that I was missing. So while I'm not directly using any of the old skills, like it's really bringing that whole picture back together. And then it allows us to have some kind of cool conversations in class and be like, no, 100 pounds of explosives in this context is really not that much. Like 500 pounds sounds super impressive, but when you're throwing it in an airplane, from 50,000 feet away, like that's not that big of a bang. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, so you're bringing light to all the P equals plenty guys. Like,
yeah,
hey, here's the real. That's awesome to have that because, yeah, I mean, dudes wouldn't know. Like, they would be all the what's the word? Like, none the better if they didn't know.
yeah,
That's,
yeah. So it's neat to have the whole picture. I haven't really found the niche. At least I for sure don't know where that niche is operationally for where it'll come into play. But I'm sure I'll find it before I retire in a couple of years. So
couple
we'll
years.
see. Well, so I got, in theory, I'm stuck with like 9.5 years left now. But I've already got 13 in, so I just have the law says I got to do 10 years commission time to retire. So
Damn.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's waivers occasionally, but we'll see. We got kind of a off-topic question here, but you chime in if you have a thought on this. If you're using a day pack or 3-day assault pack with a chest rig, how important are frames or panels which provide structure? And
Oh man.
I'm gonna guess that they're asking, the pack side of it, and I don't really think that it matters that you're using it with a chest rig. I would say what matters is if you're using it with armor, then there's some added stipulations. But
Yes. Yes.
what makes a comfortable hiking pack or backpacking pack or day pack is going to play exactly the same if you have a chest rig on. Like, chest rig is about as ininvasive as possible. So
Yeah.
whatever would be comfortable for that load without a chest rig is probably what you want. And if you've only rucked with armor on, then just be ready to be more comfortable, because rucking with armor on sucks. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like kind of like the general thing for kind of like niche stuff like that, like questions like that, is what I was always told, and then what passed down to other guys is if you make these radical gear changes, like do like at least a mile run in it and see where that little bruise is or whatever, and then you can don't
yeah,
just fly shit on and then think like, all right, I'm good for this next 10-mile hike.
yeah. A big thing I've seen in the past is you literally have to shake your gear out to see how it's going to work. Like, a lot of dudes will put stuff on their kit that's not like actively retained anywhere, and then like using molly loops to store stuff makes a lot of sense when you're standing still, and then you start moving and
No
your
problem.
shears come flying out, chem lights come flying out. Hopefully it's nothing that you actually need, but yeah, a mile run, do a ruck, do some hard sprints, and
Yeah.
then do a little bit of calisthenics to get different angles and everything. If you're in an area where you can carry a gun, put the sling around and see where the sling's getting tied up.
Exactly. That's a good one.
I I defaulted at one point in time to having my radio on my weak side, because my thought process was I don't want the antenna getting in the way of the stock. And then in theory, that didn't really check out. Like, it was more in the way of my support arm trying to reach the rifle than it was if I put it on the strong side. Like, the stock
Yeah.
sat fine on the antenna.
Yep. Exactly.
It also makes the sling a nightmare too. So
I know you're like going all over.
yeah, the old did I put my sling under my ruck or over my ruck question that you get to
Yeah.
find out when you eventually take it off. You're like, oh no, I did that backwards.
Yeah. When you flow, you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait. So pretty much what you're saying is I can't put frag grenades. I can't put the spoon in the molly. I can't like
yeah,
what?
yeah. I mean, if you have frag grenades and you don't want to have them again, like that, go for it. That's cool. So
Then I gotta move my K bar. Like
yeah, or like the Silence PTT is a great example of what not to do. Like, by the time you get that thing mounted, like, it's like 2 frag grenades on your chest, and
oh yeah, I know.
you got
And
to figure out.
what's the Peltor? Like they call it like a sheriff's badge or some shit. I heard that
Oh,
recently.
yeah, I've never heard that, but that makes a lot of sense. The stock Peltor push to
Yeah.
talk, that thing's huge. It's like a 20 round PMag.
Yeah, dude, this is massive. It does look
Yeah,
like a badge, kind of.
yeah,
Compare that to the Nexus one. It's like night and day.
yeah. It's crazy. And like, it's why Peltor even bothers making those anymore. I don't know. Like,
They
this is
know they
like,
get.
yeah, and they're like, they add a lot to the cost. If you're looking MSRP on a headset, like, those are expensive.
Dude, they are. I've seen those push to talks. I mean, people sell them used for almost $100. I don't know who's
Yeah,
buying them, but
yeah. I don't know either. I have seen them for sale for a long time for $100. So I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know who's
you're
buying
like a
these
whole
things.
box of them. You're the one selling.
Yeah. Yep. Somebody says you look like Trump Jr. So that's pretty accurate.
Well, thank you. God bless.
Yep. Rocca did get WP'd, but again,
Oh God.
I don't know.
Oh, that's Dustin. He was with the battery that we were doing convoy security and position security for.
Oh, cool.
I think
Very cool.
yeah, that's Dustin. Yeah.
I'm glad that some of your fans are on here too. So that was what I was hoping for, is we could cross streams on fans.
I think the only fan I have is my girlfriend. So and each other. Like we're fans of each other.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I could have one of your radios for every antenna I own, I would do that. That's how big of a fan I am. But that's
Dude,
also a lot of money in antennas.
no,
So.
dude, just hit me up. I'll send them to you. I've always told you I'll send you shit.
Yeah. But I gotta pay for them. So
No.
no, I'm not taking antennas from you for free. Although I do. I finally got some Android phones in. A couple dudes had some old beat up
Oh,
ones with cracked screens. So I'm gonna try Meshtastic. I don't know if you've looked into that at all.
mhm.
It looks pretty cool. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to figure it out, but I'm gonna have to find what frequency those are on because I think it's in like the 900s.
Yeah, it is. I'm in a Discord. What's one of the T-Rex Arm brothers' name?
Isaac?
Not Isaac, the funnier dude.
Oh, then I don't know.
One of the brothers. He invited me to some Discord where they were working on that, and it's getting pretty. It's getting pretty like solidified.
Yeah. From what I can understand and grasp on it, they've gotten Meshtastic to the point where it's like a more functional GoTenna, if you've seen those.
Yes.
Yep.
They
So
have cut off though.
I think when that really gets rolling, like they'll cut the legs out of the commercial side of GoTenna.
Yeah,
GoTenna still has a little bit of an in on the military side because there's an ATAC plugin for it that's
yeah,
mil only, even though I think anybody can ask for it as long as you have a military email.
yep,
But those things, for what they charge, like you can get into Meshtastic for a third of the price or something like that.
yeah, definitely.
And then Hammer, I don't know if you're familiar with the Hammer plugin for ATAC. I didn't find this out, but it needs a fairly current Android device because they only do like three software updates per phone, and then it's essentially dead. But Hammer's running, I think, like S9 and current and newer. So I don't have the equipment yet to try Hammer out, but I think that's still very much in the building block phase. And what that adds is location via radio over ATAC. So you can chirp your Bofang, and it'll, like an old dial-up modem, will talk to another radio and tell them where you're at.
Yeah, that shit is awesome. That's like super cool. I can't wait to get some time to go into that.
Yeah, that would be super cool. I think the capability that offers to be able to like actually, map out movements on the civilian side over a radio is pretty legit.
Yeah, man, that's like, I mean, everyone talks shit about the BFT, but I mean, it would be like a cleaner BFT for yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, and like that kind of capability would, like, everybody should have it, right? Like there's so many legitimate real world uses for being able to ping somebody on a handheld and see where they're at. Like
Yeah,
Garmin did it, 10 years ago with their Rhinos, where you had GPS married to your GMRS radio, and you could be like, hey, I shot a deer and I'm over here, but your range was so limited because you were pushing a half a watt.
oh yeah, a little Garmin. Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, so that sparked a question in my mind. Do you have a wattage rating on your antennas, or like a known, like, hey, don't push this many watts through it?
Yeah, 10 watts is really, I wouldn't ever go over 10 watts or something like
Okay,
that.
cool. So that, I mean, for anybody that doesn't necessarily know that right off the top of their head, that's like any Bofang you can push through there,
Yeah, any
basically.
Bofang. Like, don't try to like get one of those like car amps and like fucking,
Yeah,
that's just not. And it really, a lot of your signal's probably gonna back into your radio when you're pushing that much out like that.
yeah, makes sense. I have like 5 minutes of time on a Viswar device because they gave us this, like, I don't even want to imagine how many dollars it cost
Yeah, like
just so we could check one piece of equipment, and we're never going to do that. Like, we don't understand what we're reading, so we're not going to do that. But
yeah, like the part you're reading is like the lowest cost like to this device. Like I think I've seen those. It's like a whole kit thing. Like
yeah.
some guy comes, wheeling the thing in. Like
And the problem with ours was, like, the system was cool to play around with for like 30 minutes at a time, but then we ended up throwing something on the hard drive that we had to, tuck it away. And so I'm like, never going to go dig that thing out to play around with the 152 and see like if our antenna works. Like we'll just figure that out when we can't talk to somebody on an op. And we're like, okay, all right, throw that antenna away.
Yeah, that's a way to do it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another another kind of niche usage for your stuff is it's so compact that like even if you don't want to run it as your primary antenna, you've got a $50 insurance policy in your cargo pocket that you can just throw that thing in there and it's out of the way until you snap off your whip antenna or something like that. And like, oh crap, now I really need to throw something on there to talk. Just throw it over your shoulder and it'll work just fine.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Like no, like they say, like the ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. I mean, it's like literally nothing. It's so weird. Some of the people I get buying these antennas. I had a guy contact me. He said, "Hey, I bought your antenna." I looked at his page, and he has like 80,000 followers, and and all of his pictures are trains. He's like a train watcher. You take
cool.
the antenna and like tie it to the gate over a bridge, and use that to hear the train come in through his radio. And he was like, "Yeah, it just makes it easier because I hike out to a lot of these spots."
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So many niche uses.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
So do you think that's the most unusual usage for your antenna that you've heard of?
I think so. There's a few. I mean, I love the foreign dudes. Like I'll get, like some people that barely know English from like Italy. I mean, I love like the Australian, the British dudes hit me up. Like they're just so much fun. Yeah, I mean that's probably definitely the most niche, like weird. Yeah.
So you've got the wearable antennas with a whole slew of attachments to cover military radios, commercial radios, and bowfangs, right? And then you're putting out relocation cables, which I already saw that you're going to cover all those same bases with the connectors, specifically not leaving out bowfang guys.
Yep.
Are there any other things in the works that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to partner with Mission Essential, and I'm working on a Thule device to kind of mitigate the ease of use for Thule's cards. I'm sure you've used them plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another product I have a patent out that's going to be helping dudes eat MREs a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's way out there, but I'm pretty excited. I just finished paying off the patent. It was way too much money. I didn't realize what I was getting into, but it's over with. And I'm working on buying molds to have them made. And I'm going to send like some out to you guys in the field so I can get that feedback to say like, hey, this worked, this didn't work. Because I have a few mock-ups already made, but so I'm hoping it'll be. I mean, I have the patent already, so I'll show you. I just have one right here. So it's going to be a lot more compact. But essentially, it folds out and it's all leveled out for your molly, so you can place on your carrier and like eat a meal.
That's so cool.
So it's gonna be called the or something because like the Rock or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I haven't showed anyone it yet, but I don't know, man, because I remember just being in a turret, doing a 12-hour shift to watch. And like the meal's always falling over, and you literally have to use two hands to eat those. It's a fucking packet. So this would just sit right here. You can just eat it at your own time.
That's super cool. And like I don't know how you have thought of that. Like it's just one of those things that like is annoying forever. And everybody's like, no, eating MREs just sucks. Like there's no way around it. Like the flavor's bad. They're hard to get into. Like you shouldn't have to have a knife to get into your food.
Exactly.
But you do. Like if you have any perspiration on your hands at all, you can't open those things and like
no, get the scars from biting them and stuff.
Yeah, just cut your lips open on the seal there.
Yeah,
that's super cool though. Well, and it's funny that's the thing because I have eaten so many more MREs in the process of commissioning than I ever did before. Like,
really?
Yeah, the first 3 or 4 days at OTS was nothing but MREs just because they were so afraid to let us leave our rooms because of COVID.
Oh my god!
And we couldn't heat inside, And then there was and then there was the constant threat that we were going to get our rooms checked out. So like the crackers were unedible because you look at a cracker the wrong way and it's in 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, the confetti bomb going on.
Yeah, but yeah, that's super cool. And I occasionally bring out an MRE for some nostalgia, but like that's badass.
You sick fuck.
Yeah, I mean I'm very picky when I'm doing it, for which ones I'll eat because I'm not messing around with some of those by choice.
No, that's true. I have been craving a chili mac. Like when you mix the cheese and the crackers in the bowl. Like,
Yep.
dude, that's actually good.
Yeah, some of the MRE gourmet recipes out there are pretty all right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, I miss like making the birthday cakes for people. You know, like mixing the peanut butter and making your own icing with like the pudding gel, putting the cigarette as the candle and shit.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yes, Zero Fire. I did join the dark side, but hopefully I'll be one of the cool ones. We'll see.
Yes, the Mustangs are always the cool ones.
And then Brian said that that's stupid, but he wants one.
Fuck you, Brian. Okay, you can have it.
For those of you listening in the future and can't actually see that thing, it's a car hop tray for an MRE that clings onto your chest, and it's awesome.
Dude, that's the best. I've never been able to explain it to people, and I just look like an idiot. Well, I always look like an idiot, but explaining it, I look even stupider. But that's perfect. I love that explanation. I'm going to use that.
Sweet. Now I've got a quote for you, and I got a quote for, I think it's CK Dev Group on IG. He does a lot of like slaps and artwork stuff. That's pretty cool, but he's got some nylon products coming out. And,
Sweet.
I complimented his pictures on this gear, and I was like, those are some hot pictures. You should start an OnlyFans. Well, that's at the bottom of the product description. So,
dude, yes, I love it. That's so cool.
And then we got Micah Witt making a bold comparison here, which is, I appreciate it. I don't know if I'll get to that level, but
dude, I think you will, man. I mean, think of how he started.
Yeah. I went back one day and watched the first couple videos, and it was just firing a grand as fast as possible.
Yeah,
that video is still sitting at like 20,000 views or something. Like nobody's gone back that far.
No. I know. Yeah, I don't think he really got big from those kind of videos.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to him and see like what the like when he knew it was happening was, because the video, like, you can't really see like views over time, so like you don't
Exactly.
know like where it really started. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I think that was still when he was what was he?
He was a seer dude.
Seer, yeah. And then he commissioned, right?
Yep. Now he's a TACP officer.
Okay,
yeah. Which is super cool, because I know when he came in, he was going down that path and ran into some issues. So I'm glad he was able to get back over there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Dustin asking, what's the best way to get into folk B? I don't know, Dustin. I need English, man.
Folk. He's talking about folk music. Get a banjo.
Oh, got it.
No, I'm playing out. Wait, what's it?
I don't know. And then Zero Fire. I don't know, man. I'm going into Intel, so we'll see if I actually have a real job or not. Headed to North Dakota, hopefully to run a training section, but I don't know if that's actually going to pan out. So we'll see.
So pretty much like CIA. You're gonna be like they have like a cane with a little gun in it. Piece of fork.
I hope not. I don't know what I want to do, but there's a lot of things that I know I don't want to do. Like, I don't want to get into cyber and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's some pretty intense stuff.
Not great with computers, and I don't want to just like stare. Like, I can imagine just sitting there staring at like ones and zeros from China. Be like, I don't know.
Oh my god, dude! Hacking away at it.
Yep.
Dude, if you can hack computers on Fallout 3, then that's.
I got to read enough magazines to get my skill up, and then I'll be good.
Oh my god!
It's been a while since I played Fallout, but yeah.
Great games. Oh man.
Well, this has been super duper fun.
Dude,
And, I appreciate you being the first for sure. I think we've got this figured out. We'll see if I can get it uploaded. If I can get it uploaded, then we've won the battle. But
if not, let's just redo it.
yeah, we'll do it again. And we got 17 people that stuck around this long, so that's pretty good. Not complaining about that. We'll see who picks it up afterwards.
Bunch of the real ones.
Yeah. I don't know if I can see who they are though. That's one downside. I don't know who they are. But
I need everyone to roll call. Everyone call themselves out right now. Information.
Yeah. Super dark side crossover. Should have stayed E for that. No, I was an E7, so I had troops. So.
Wait, you were in E7?
Yeah. I was put it on. I didn't have it on super long. I had it long in heart, but I think it was since February, so not crazy long. But
what is that called in the Air Force?
Master Sergeant.
Oh, nice. Damn.
Yeah. So we don't have the split like you guys do because it's Master Sergeant or First Sergeant, right? Or is that E8?
Well, yeah, because E7's gunny.
Okay. Yeah.
But then you're right. The next one. You're right.
Yeah, it's the Army, I think, that splits at 7. But yeah, so we didn't have that, so it wasn't going down the admin path versus the more like subject matter path yet. But
yeah, that would get probably pretty scary. Like for people who aren't about the whole motivated stuff and are really job and focus, which it's clear that you are from how much you love the gear and stuff. So that would be pretty nerve wracking getting close to that.
Yeah. Glad I never had to make that decision. But yeah, there we go. Travis agrees. E8's the split for you guys. Travis is one of the Marine EOD techs that I know.
Oh, nice, cool. Travis, do you know Jake Stenson? I RSS'd out. He's been an EOD tech for about 2 years now.
You got any plugs you want to give anybody before we shut this down? Anybody you know that I should look at or that other people should look at? Doesn't matter what genre. Just trying to help out new dudes.
So there's this chick named Bella Delphine who makes really good. No, I'm not sure, man. I wish I could think. Like I know there's great people out there. I really like starting to see what's it, JCI Comms. He's like a UK dude. He makes like great content. He's not really that well known. And I always recommend people over there. Oh, and Aries Communication. Have you talked with him?
Yeah, if you didn't drop it, I was going to say Aries because you guys are right up the same realm. Like, get your antenna from Will, get your push to talk from Aries.
Yeah, I'm so happy he made it on Instagram. Like, we just met randomly on eBay. Like, now it's like, dude, you need to get on Instagram. Like, there's a market for you. I get asked nonstop for a push to talk. His son's an EOD tech in the Army.
It is. Yep, I've chatted with him a little bit, and I agree. Like, it was the same product on eBay, but like, eBay is so inhuman that I hope, and I would assume that he's having way better luck on Instagram.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's getting close to like 2,000 followers, and he's doing a giveaway soon. He's giving away like some Swardens, push to talk, radio, my antenna, like.
Awesome.
A huge giveaway soon.
And he's another dude that puts out a lot of free tips and tricks. I know he did a whole series on how to buy LEMO connector headsets and then convert them, which is pretty good stuff because LEMO, I think, in the civilian market is about useless. So the price tanks on those.
Exactly, and that's awesome because you can buy them up and then convert them. I think I see on like all the Facebook groups, the buy sell groups. That's the question that gets asked a lot. Who does a conversion or how do I do it type of thing.
Yeah, a lot of the time I think it's a dude that bought one and he's like, well, this doesn't plug into anything. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah. These plugs don't go together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then JCI Comms for sure. I've never actually bought anything from him, but I have talked to him in the past. He's in the UK, so there's kind of that barrier there, but he does some awesome stuff. I think he's an electrical engineer. So
Yeah, he was mentioning that. Yeah, like I mean, the stuff he is just crazy. I mean, he has like legit military like comms and like
yep.
because that Milsim community is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know like this dude's at the level where like one of his ongoing projects, as far as I know, is like to make the side port on the tri radio work. Like that's the level that he's working at, not just like smashing wires together.
Yeah, I think he had one that worked. He has like a Vert 110, I think it's called. You know, the 50-watt amp for a 152, and he's
Yep.
like hooking that up. I'm like, bro, if I
Yeah.
did that shit, my whole house would be on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a picture from him where he's just got like the whole spread, like straight up talk set up in this dude's house and
Yes,
running every radio and push to talk imaginable.
seriously, I know. And did you ever talk to Red Hand Kydex?
Yep. So there's a handful of guys that I've wanted to throw some business to, but it's never like straight up what they make. And I feel a little bad about it. Like I'll float the idea to a couple of dudes, and it's just kind of like whoever gets a price back to me first is kind of which way I go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've done that to Red Hand a couple of times, and I feel a little bad about it. I've never actually bought anything straight from him.
I think he gets pretty swamped because he does it on the side. It seems like, but he
Yeah,
like I mean the stuff he makes, it like blows my mind. Like I have one of his danglers, and it's like it looks like it's straight from like a factory. Like you know his line work because I do some sewing on the side for fun, and it's just I'm like, how do you do this? Like
yeah, yeah, and that is a problem. I've noticed that come up in some of the comments too. Is like some of the dudes that I put stuff out for, like you're working with a human, and like they may not be able to fit you in right now, and like some people need that instant gratification.
yeah,
I know your turnaround time is like same day in a lot of instances, but like some of these dudes, like it's just life goes on, and like if you want the thing, let them know you want the thing, and then when it shows up, it shows up,
yeah,
and it just depends on what your definition of a reasonable lead time is. So
definitely, man. A lot of people, I think what's a lot of those guys are upfront about it, which is great. And there's
yeah,
still people who will like ignore that and then be like, why isn't this here 2 days? Why, you know, and it's just
yeah,
kind of crazy. You're like, man, like that was already said to you, you know.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's not even. I mean, and they're giving you realistic timelines too. Like it's not like SOE back in the day where it's like, hey, if I ever ship it to you, I've fulfilled my promise. Like
Optics.
it's going to take me 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later it shows up, and you're like, all right, sweet. But some people are like a week in, they're like, where's my crap?
Yeah, I know, man. Or yeah, like you know, I'll get emails nonstop, like where it's, you know, USPS says it'll be there Monday, and they're like, why isn't it here yet? I'm like, bro, call them.
Yeah, right.
Like, you think I'm hand delivering this shit?
So we got a couple of questions, and then we'll wrap it up. One is definitely for you. Do your antennas have ohms resistors in them?
No, they don't. And that's why there's those peaks and dips, which is you know all on the website.
And then Dustin finally figured out his English here. And he says, I meant how to get into comms. I live in South Carolina. I hear enough banjos. So how to get into comms is really, really like what comms means to you. Because there's a lot of different answers for that, like whether you're going into ham or playing airsoft and want to talk to your teammates. Like those are two
Yep.
totally different realms. But to plug myself a little bit, one of my more recent videos was I think it was like comms, intro to comms on a budget or something along those lines. But you get yourself a Bofang, get yourself an antenna of your choice, you know, whether it be cattails or an Abri, because the Abris are pretty cheap, or
Yeah.
Nagoyas are awesome too.
Yep.
And then if you want to run a headset, you know, an Aries push to talk is really the way to go. Disco 32 makes them as well. I've never dealt with Disco. I don't have anything against him. I just know that Aries is a good dude, so I'll go to him.
Yep.
And then if you don't know how to program the Bofang, I think I got mine done through Chosen Armory, And I want to say I paid $45 for as many Baofengs as I sent him, and I sent him like 8 or something like that. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's a blanket fee, whether you send him one or your entire team's worth. And he'll set them up however you want. Makes it pretty straightforward. Gives you a frequency printout and everything, so you know exactly what's on every channel.
That's a cool little business he's got going on.
Yeah, and that's all on top of I think he runs like an actual gun shop or something like that too. So like it's just kind of a nice thing.
Side thing.
Yep.
And are you familiar with using Chirp?
I don't know if I am or not. I may have done it accidentally, or like it was built into something and I didn't know I was using it. But no, I'm not crazy familiar.
So I think that's probably what he uses, and that's what I always recommend people. Like, if you're just getting the ham,
That's right.
Buy the Baofeng so you can learn what you want out of a high-end radio, and you can learn how to do all this stuff. But yeah, Chirp is free to download. Plug your Baofeng in, and dude,
that's the programming software, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Similar to I forgot what it's called for the Motorola. It's similar to that, but dude, I mean, you can do like your squelch settings, like if you want it to make beeping noises, even like the color of your background light, is all done through this. And there's like 30 million videos on YouTube, like explaining how to do it, like step by step. So if you don't want to take the time to do a ham radio course and you just want to learn how to use your Baofeng, dude, like YouTube is just flooded with, videos of them just on the computer showing you how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, YouTube really, I mean, there's not much out there you can't find on YouTube. Like
Seriously,
I use it for some silly stuff sometimes where I just want to reassure myself that I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And then, yeah, once you maybe graduate from Baofengs or realize that you don't want all of the capability that they provide, maybe you want a little bit more of a rugged device. There's a ton of used Motorola devices out there. Mm-hmm. The only downside with the Motorola's is the programming. So either buy one that you know is programmed already for what you want, or make sure you have somebody lined up ahead of time, because Motorola is a little bit protective of their programming. And the idea for them of turning a $5,000 MSRP radio into a $100 airsoft radio is a little out there. So
yeah,
it can be a challenge to find somebody that'll set them up for you, but I highly recommend those if you have that availability, because those are some tanks. Like, you're not going to break a Motorola.
Yeah, man. They're rugged radios, and the program they use is called Astro 25.
Yep.
Don't confuse Astro Glide.
If you get a used Motorola and you don't have Astro 25, though, you may need some Astro Glide when you eventually find somebody, because some of those dudes are very protective of their ability to do that. So
seriously, and that's actually how they're convinced. You just show them the bottle and they'll know what's up.
Yeah.
And then show them the radio with the bottle and they'll,
yeah. Oh, Dustin's going back into the military and doesn't want to look like a retard with a 52.
Yeah, for that, hit up all the comm courses I have on my website, because a lot of that is military-related stuff. That's the best way to do it. And then hands-on. So I'm just gonna have to one day be like, hey, can we go to S6 and like talk with them or whatever? That's what we would do sometimes with the platoon. Like, head over to S6 just like you would the Armory and fiddle around with stuff.
Do you follow 18 Reco on Instagram?
I think I do.
He's a SF dude, a SF comms dude.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of kind of similar stuff as you with the educational side. And like just trying to convince dudes that like that green thing is not just a chunk of magic, like it's an actual thing that you can comprehend. And like,
what?
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't need to know how to do like you don't need to understand how the crypto works. Like, you flip the switch and it's on, and make sure that you haven't lost your fill. Like, there's a lot with a 52 that you can just play around with, and it's a pretty user-friendly system at the user level. Like, it's very easy to navigate those settings.
It is, man. When you know what like you need, because there's a lot of filler shit in there that you'll never have to touch.
Yep.
And when you start showing guys that you can play radio on it, like, that's a huge, everyone's like, yo, teach me more,
Yeah.
There's ways to like cross communicate with a 153. There's all these like cool things you can do. I think it definitely got, especially, in infantry units, you'd see a lot of guys like, dude, those are lame, And you're like, dude, you got to learn it. Like, especially if you're going to be a vehicle commander or a squad leader or a platoon sergeant, whatever, like, you have to know this piece of gear. Just like you have to know how to read a map. Like, it's that you can't solve everything with a Modus. Like,
yeah, you got to be able to talk to another Modus. That's the problem.
Exactly.
And yeah, like you were saying, there's a lot of fluff in there. There is a very, very firm line between what you need to know on the 152 and where you have completely fallen off the deep end. I was trying to set up a repeater one time, and I had one of our Air Force comm guys with me, and we were like the only unit on base that had 152s, so they weren't super hip on them, and he was working with me, and we broke it to the point that we called Harris. We're like, hey, we're trying to troubleshoot this repeater, and somehow we had made the radio talk to itself as a repeater. So we had this infinite loop of transmission. It got stuck in there.
Like a black hole. Like,
yeah, we had changed settings that Harris was convinced we were not able to change based on other settings that we had changed, and it was rough. We had to like just completely reboot that radio.
Oh my god, dude! Wow. Oh my god.
It was rough.
Yeah,
Felt real stupid.
You can't tell yeah, just like pretend it's good. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Travis, I think you're right. Marines can't stop people from eating C4, much less their radios. So.
Oh my god! What's that? If you do a little, you get sick.
Don't ever eat C4. It is so bad.
I eat it, just a little lick.
Yeah, no, I bite my fingernails really bad, and I had some in there doing a range clearance, and didn't realize it, and it was the most gnarly headache I've ever had. It was awful.
Were you like throwing up and stuff, or?
It never got to that point, so it's not like as toxic in my understanding as like dynamite. Like dynamite, if you eat dynamite, like you're going down.
Is that like what nitroglycerin is in there, right?
Yep. But the C4 headache was pretty real.
It
was not a fun hour and a half ride back to base. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
But yeah, if anybody that's watching has any questions for Will, hit him up on probably Instagram, right? Is that the best place?
Yeah, definitely. It's just so easy to chat with people.
Yep. And that's at CAATailsAntennas, just one word straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'll try to put a comment on here eventually, but I'm really bad at that. So if you can't find him, hit me up, and I'll send him your way or you his way, and get you sorted out. And then if anybody's got any requests for who they want to see next, I've got a couple other people that volunteered, but I'm happy to field ideas and hopefully keep this rolling. I'd like to try to do this once a week. So we'll see how that goes and see if this gets any actual traffic. But I really appreciate you taking the time out of your night to do this, Will.
Dude, yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. And keep doing your live feeds too. That was really, really neat learning all the different things you're getting into and everything. And
thanks, buddy. You too.
It was awesome. So
I'm excited to see. I mean, you're growing fast. I think you're at a couple months ago. That was like really when you started revving up. And I'm excited.
Yeah. It was weird. It was weird how it ramped up. It took forever to get to 1,000, and then it feels like between 2,000 and 4,000 was just like overnight. So
exactly, that's how it happens, man. It's just like a grind to get to that base level, you know.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate everybody that tuned into the live, and then anybody that checks us out later on. Appreciate you guys for listening on your drive or workout or whatever is going on, and hopefully the audio quality is there. If not, let me know, and I'll see how I can tweak that. But yeah, thanks, man, and hope you have a good night.
You too, buddy. This right thing.
Yeah. All right, and now if you guys want anything else, just follow Will over to his OnlyFans, and he'll get you taken care of. So.
Give you a little preview.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Yep.